hungry and you need to feed it now. Say, Joe, won't you come and spread your wings? Your wings. You're fire and you need to burn bright now.
It's Sunday, September 7th, and you've tuned into the People's Patriot Project. We got your 6 at 6. Right now, you're listening to VP3 Radio, proudly produced in partnership with Reads Across America Radio. Together, we share a mission to remember the fallen, honor those who have served, and teach the future generations the value of freedom. A freedom secured by the brave men and women who wear our nation's uniform. Stay tuned for We Got Your 6 at 6. You just listened to Die Tired, Need to Feed on VP3 Radio.
VP3 Radio is produced in partnership with Reads Across America Radio. Support the mission to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach future generations the value of freedom at readsacrossamerica.org.
Trucker. Dockers. Roll out. You're watching or listening to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. We the people, the People's Patriot Project.
Responder thoughts and ideas or want to help continue the mission? You have come to the right place. We are the People's Patriot Project, and we are the shock and awe when it comes to meeting the needs of our veterans and first responders. We are dealing with a new enemy in today's world where the wounds are not always seen. We want you to be a part of this mission in saving lives and making a difference. Welcome to We Got Your 6 at 6 Patriot Playtime. Here's the We P3 team bringing you today's best heroes hits in the boots on the ground organizations that are saving lives. And as always, Patriot Pride.
Left your left, left right, your left. You got it.
Good evening, it's Andrea Eichmann here tonight. It is Sunday evening and it is 1800 Central Time, and the People's Patriot Project, Mark, Frank, and I are here to bring you our weekly show and then podcast called We Got Your 6 at 6. Every week we have a guest and often a new artist, and we share all the good and sometimes not so good things happening in our world. This week we have some amazing discussions coming up with our guests, Chaz Kraynak and Kelly Daniels. We appreciate you for being here tonight. We also would like to just throw out a shout out to our amazing sponsors. We have Catch 22 with Derek Iozio. We have got Operation Texas Strong with Peggy and Bobby Krutzinger down there in Texas. We have got Boho Hobo's Hideaway with Lauren Iozio. That's also down there in Texas. And then we have got a little message from Brian Kenzer. Brian is usually with us. He has been away for a while. He's quite busy in the summertime. He does some captaining of big, huge boats. He does some racing of some big old sailboats. And he's also a first responder. So he may be out on a call. He may be out on the water. Who knows? But he does like to share with us how he helps support the People's Patriot Project. He also has a store online. If you'd like to, you can talk to Brian about your health, your wellness, and support American families in the WP3 mission while shopping at his online store. I shop there, just so you know. It's a great place to shop. Very organizing. We do have right here in St. Paul, we have got Corporate Mark headed up by Linda. Linda is the Epic Center of Support and Printing for local Leos and firefighters, and she has become a part of the People's Patriot Project family. Please mark your calendars, everybody in the nation, for December 13th. This is a powerful day of remembrance and honor as we join across America to lay wreaths on the graves of hundreds of thousands of veterans at national cemeteries across the country. At Fort Snelling National Cemetery, People's Patriot Project is committed to honoring every hero laid to rest, but we are short on those wreaths. Lots of thousands of wreaths short of our goal to ensure that every veteran is remembered. Please act now, sponsor your wreaths, be a part of this meaningful mission to remember, honor, and teach. I'm going to just put a link on there. This is Fort Snelling. Excuse me. And you don't have to help support Fort Snelling, but please do go check out a cemetery near you or cemetery that has a loved one buried. I do also send a couple wreaths out to the Punch Bowl where my uncle is buried. They do grave-specific wreaths there. All right. Special shout out to Brother Joe Meisch and the Temple Massager. And we will talk about that just a real quick second because Peterson's got a cool, he's got a cool ad out here. You get 20% off if you type in WeP3 in the discount code area at www.templemassager.com. This thing is amazing. You put those little ends on your temples and you turn on that massager. Well, I don't know. You just rub it around and around. There's so many more places than your temples too, you guys. To all of our sponsors, our guests, and our listeners, thank you so much. Before we dive into this week's show, please take a moment to join us for this amazing version of the Star Spangled Banner with Dave Bray, USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take the time to stand if you are capable of standing. Out of honor and respect, please remove your covers and prepare yourself how you need to show your greatest gratitude for the amazing freedoms and liberties we have achieved under one of the most powerful symbols in the world. Please cast your attention as we respect our old glory.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. This land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
Patriot Pride.
You start. We got your 6 and 6. Let's grow.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening. How is it going? My
We
goodness.
got to put the row of pretties. Sorry, Frank. You got to come to the bottom row with me today. You get stuck. You get stuck on the ugly line. Sorry.
I fit right in.
He's down there by you though. He's a runner.
Welcome my hat off.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is September 7th, and we are leading the charge. We have to do the news first because I flubbed up some stuff. So, Andrea, go ahead and start the news first, and I have something to add at the end of that.
Okay, perfect. So we've got like a couple things about September. So it is the focus on suicide prevention. In the military community, September is a critical month for raising awareness about mental health and following the Department of Defense's designation of September as Suicide Prevention Month. I always stutter on the word awareness though, because we need to actually do things as well as being aware. Josh Stein, the governor of North Carolina, proclaimed September 2025 as First Responders Appreciation Month in North Carolina, and he commends its observance to all citizens, which I like that. September is also National Service Dog Month, and this is a time marked to pay tribute to the animals who support Americans with special training to help people dealing with vision impairment, medical issues, mental health, and many other areas. We have to throw PTSD in there. Service dogs are specially trained animals working with people as helpers and as therapy, and they have special legal protections to allow both the dog and owner to be in places where there is otherwise a no animals policy or a no pets policy. Described by organizers and supporters, National Service Dog Month is a time for heightened awareness of service animals and the important work they and their trainers do. This observation began in reaction to a Palm Springs, Florida program called Guide Dogs of the Desert. I want to just mention, I just donated money to a young man who, after many surgeries, lost his dog. And so I love the animals myself. So there's not just the training that goes into it, but there's the aftercare, which we work with a lot of groups that help with that aftercare of the animals as well. I hope nobody is not aware of this. On Thursday, it is September 11th, and that is the anniversary observance of 9/11. Also called Patriot Day, officially known as National Day of Service and Remembrance, is observed every September 11th in honor of the individuals who lost their lives as a result of terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001. Americans are called on to observe Patriot Day every year with a moment of silence beginning at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is not a federal holiday, but businesses and schools will not close, although memorial ceremonies for the victims are held. This is on Thursday. What will you do to remember? And that's our news this week.
That is a tough one to follow there because I'd like to focus a lot specifically on 9/11. Real quick, Chaz, what
Yes,
were
sir.
you doing on 9/11? What do you remember doing?
I was out of the military. I owned a bar. I was laying on my sofa after, just closing a few hours earlier, having my TV on, and it woke me up. And I was waiting for my phone to ring. I was waiting for a recall.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Andrea, what do you remember about that day?
It was a weirdly normal day. We were just getting ready for school, all the kids, and my oldest, who I think he was 9, came running in the kitchen to tell me that the Twin Towers had been bombed, or one of the Twin Towers. And I'm like looking at him like, you're 9. What show are you watching? Like, what channel did you end up on? And then shortly after that, he came in again and he said, no, I'm serious. You need to come and watch. And so that disrupted our otherwise normal day. And weirdly, you send your kids off to school that day, and it's such a weird, like, we had no idea what was happening. No, it was panic. It was kind of panic. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Mr. Daniels, what do you remember about that day?
Oh, it's 9/11. I was in a job interview in a high rise. And all of a sudden there was commotion, people running around. The person that was interviewing me left the office, said, I'll be right back, goes out, and I'm sitting there for like probably 5 to 7 minutes, which felt like an eternity, sitting there by myself, like text going on. There's all this commotion I could see through the glass windows, and came back in and said, we got to evacuate the building. And I said, what do you mean? They said, somebody's driving planes in the buildings. We think we're under attack. And I was like, what? Okay. So it was a little chaotic getting out of the building. The elevators were slow, whatnot. We weren't even in New York. I was actually in Chicago. But still, there was obviously widespread panic and everything. So that's where I was. I was in a high rise downtown Chicago that immediately they started evacuating. And then I drove home and started to watch it on TV.
Yeah. Mr. DeMith, tell us about your day.
Well, I was an operations officer in a recruiting brigade. And a couple months before that, I had just finished the anti-terrorism and force protection course. So I was the brigade ATFPO. And our deputy brigade commander came running down the hall after the first plane hit and said, Frank, what do we do? And I said, sir, all the stuff they taught me in that course, there was nothing that covered planes being crashed into buildings. I said, the best thing we could probably do is take the people that are in federal buildings and tell them that it's their decision whether they stay in the building or go home. And when we saw the second plane crash, we knew it was more than just an accident.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was teaching that day, and someone came to me and they said, one of the towers was on fire. Now, I had just recently, my best friend lived out in New York and got married at West Point and blah blah blah, and her father his wife's father was a Coca-Cola rep for Manhattan. And so he had just taken me on a tour like in June and said, well, this is where, and we're having this conversation, this is where they tried to take down the towers the first time. I was like, oh, that's crazy. There's a big movie coming through then that was Godzilla. They had a bunch of the props out there on the beach and everything. And so there was a connection at this point. But then the next thing I know, I'm teaching Twin Tower or one of the towers is on fire. I'm like, what is going on? I have a football game that afternoon. And again, they didn't really stop anything in America, other than flights. But living in Minnesota, we have a pretty large volume international airport. And it was just, you could tell, it was eerie how you could look into the sky and there was no activity at all. None. And I drove, at the time, I had about an 86-mile commute. I had a long time after I dropped the boys off after the football game, getting on and trekking and seeing all the gas stations full. And I'm like, well, thank goodness I have fuel, but I ain't stopping for this mess. And we still didn't know anything. And at the time, I was also part of the headquarters battery for the 34th Division Red Bulls. And so cell phones weren't huge back then. Some had some, but not everyone. And just the communication. And I remember my daughter was about a little over a month old, and my son was a little over a year and a month old, August 2nd, August 3rd. And I'm like, I walk in the door and I'm like, what have we brought our children into? And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And we've learned. It's an impactful day. It is, something that is ingrained in my head, and knowing that, we got to take care of business. And if we don't take care of the small things, the bigger things will happen. And so I hope our people in leadership are doing due diligence and are preparing, and we don't get to know all the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm not sure that I want the world to know all the behind the scenes stuff, because I don't think they do well with information. We like to throw that on social media and stuff. I can't imagine what that would look like in today's world now. But so, thanks for being here, guys. I know this is that's the dark part, and we don't really get into that. And but that is something we need to remember this week. I have one more I want to bring up, and this is an absolute ecstatic announcement. We've been dabbling in the world of the podcast world for now. This is episode 269. And I just got to share, man. This last week, We Got Your 6 at 6 was ranked number 1 in the top 100 indie nonprofit monthly charts. Currently, it's also ranked number 4 in the top 100 indie nonprofit all-time charts. And then you get down here to the bottom and ranked 18 in the top nonprofit all-time charts. And that's 18 of all nonprofits. And that's exciting for me. That's exciting. That's the WeP3 team is getting it done. We're doing what we need to do. And we're getting the message out to our brothers and sisters that need the support. And so thank you to our listeners. Thank you for our amazing guests that come onto our show. And I'm excited to continue this mission and keep doing all the things that we get to do, like hang out with some of these people, get to go to Nashville every once in a while. We can see Mr. Daniels got the big nasty in his background there. That is quite the view, brother.
Anybody who's come up here to my humble abode has said this is the best view of Nashville I've ever seen. I said that's why we chose it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Jeremy Daniels, good to see you, brother. Thanks for being here. All the time, man. We appreciate you. We got the amazing Derek Iozio, the godfather of WeP3, and the great advisor, working and helping and doing all the things he does. He brings people, he brings guests. He brought his amazing, wonderful daughter to come help support in the behind the scenes efforts of what we got to get done. And I'd also like to say thank you to our amazing Frank the Myth, who is coming on board to be a permanent forever fixture on We Got Your 6 at 6. Thanks for being here, Frank. All righty. So let's introduce our guests. Our first guest tonight is a young man that runs an organization. We got a YouTube link. We're not going to show the YouTube video tonight, but we're going to put the YouTube video on the show notes, so that people can go check out what they're doing. Mr. Chaz Kraynak. Am I saying Kraynak right?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the few people who says such a simple last name correct. 2 syllables.
It seems simple, but I could fumble Smith at some point.
Believe me, people do it all the time. And then
tell us who you are, tell us about your service, and tell us the brief. Not because we'll get into the other context later. Tell us briefly about your mission.
Okay, well, my name's Chaz Kraynak. I am the president and co-founder of the FSB Initiative. I was with the 293rd Combat Engineers out of Baumholder, Germany. I unfortunately only served 4 years until I got injured pretty badly. And let's do this in a nutshell. In 2016, I became a homeless veteran. In 2017, I started this program, and we'll get into that later, why and how, and why this is near and dear to me and what we do. We have many teams across many states. We're working on adding a couple more, but we'll get into the meat and potatoes of that a little bit later. So I just gave you the most abbreviated version of what I can do.
So you served our country, you came home, you were injured, and you end up being homeless, and you decide to start a mission to help homeless veterans.
Well, there's a very good reason why I started this mission, because a lot of these programs, we're a 100% all volunteer nonprofit. And it's really important to distinct that we are a 100% all volunteer. I'm a volunteer. On my board of directors are volunteers. Nobody gets paid now or ever. It's actually our number 2 bylaw. And we can get into that a little later, because again, nobody, if you're running a nonprofit, should be getting paid. That's how my personal feeling. CEOs don't need to be making $250,000, $500,000, and what could that money have done for your program?
I think our brains are really close to that, and we will definitely get into that and see where that all stands here in a bit. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, sir.
And we're excited to hear about your mission.
Yep. You caught me right when I got home. I literally just got home and got out of the shower. I was at state convention because I'm also a veteran service officer. So we go video recorder. So I literally just pulled in from state convention, hopped in the shower, and as I hopped out, you were calling. So I had to grab some clothes real quick. I completely blanked. I have it on my calendar, but
we get it, brother. It's one of the things that we find are when veterans and first responders continue the mission, they don't know how to do it part-time. They throw all the tools in, they throw all the time in, all the resources. And, sometimes I sit there when I'm done and over with, I'm like, I need a break. But then you look at it and it's like, well, if I take the break, then does the work get done? This last week has been horrific, not in a bad way, horrific for me. I moved into a new property, and we didn't have internet. You don't know that till you get there. There's no internet. Our phone service doesn't work. And it's really hard to run a podcast when you're doing that. And I'm trying to message. And, of course, on one bar, my messages aren't always getting through. Last weekend's show, we kind of printing wheeled through it. Andrea did an amazing, amazing job. Thank you, Andrea, and for all the hard work. And Frank was here to support. We got to get Frank more involved, and we'll get there. But no, I can tell, Chaz, you're that guy. You don't know when to stop. You don't know when to quit. Nope. You just go. And again, folks, we put the link. Don't do it now because you want to watch what we're going to do here in a second. But watch his YouTube video on his mission. He is boots on the ground, trudging around in the woods, talking to homeless people and pulling our veteran service members out of the woods to give them a better opportunity. So Thank you for your mission, Chaz. Kelly Daniels, our resident superstar musician in-house tonight. Good to have you here, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us who you are. And I will preface, Mr. Daniels is what we call a Patriot player. And we'll get into that. Not necessarily directly serve, not directly a first responder, but we still celebrate his content, what he does, and because he does stuff behind the scenes for veterans and first responders. So go take it away, Mr. Daniels.
Oh, yeah. Again, like you mentioned, I did not previously serve myself. However, me and one of my childhood friends, it was our dream to we used to play guns in the Army in the ravines, where I grew up and in the hollers. And we always had dreams to go to the military together. And, when we were 18, 19 years old after we graduated high school. And it just so happened that 2 weeks before we were supposed to go enlist that I signed a record deal. Because music was a big part of my life. So he went by himself. He was deployed immediately after 9/11 to Afghanistan. I stayed in close contact, all that. And then my father and my grandfather both served. And then also I was previously married into a first responder family. They were all state police, Chicago police, all that stuff. So I've been around it and played countless events for the American Lawmen. They're a motorcycle club, all police and first responder based motorcycle club. The Justified, which is another big first responder military based or centric, I should say, motorcycle club. So for years they've held major runs, fundraisers, things like that, and I've donated my time and my services since I didn't actually serve myself. At least I figured I could help, in other ways, so yeah.
We've got 3 songs lined up for you tonight, brother. We got Faded Photographs, Drowning, and Kiss Me Goodbye. Which one would you like to start off with?
Well, I mean, I think in light of everything everything you guys represent and stand for, Faded Photographs, as you know, I penned that with Brooks Herring. Brooks Herring is a veteran, served. And the thing was, my journey started, I was brought into this world. We came from nothing. My grandparents were orphans that were being abused in the military. Being abused in a orphanage. And my grandfather took my grandmother. They ran away. He enlisted in the military. She had gotten pregnant, and then next thing you know, she's home alone, and he's overseas fighting. She didn't know if he was going to make it home, and so I wanted to write a song talking about just what real struggle looks like and how they weathered the storm from being orphans in an orphanage and then running away together, starting a life, and having my mom and then us, building our lives and stuff like that. But the only piece of it that I really couldn't relate to was what it would be like to deploy and have a family back at home. So Brooks came in and helped me polish that off. But yeah, Faded Photographs is the true story of my journey of how my family started from nothing and grew to where it is today.
Well, this is Faded Photographs by Kelly Daniels featuring Brooks Herring.
He was 15 when he left that home with his first love and a bag of clothes from an orphanage on the south side of Chicago. They were young and scared and full of faith on that bitter cold November day, searching for a new place to call their own. They didn't have no money, no credit cards. They just had each other and the love in their hearts. You can see the desperation, the holes in his jeans, and you can see the scared in her eyes of life's uncertainties. You can feel the sweat, the blood, the tears, and the reasons to turn back. But you can't see all the things that they had, those faded photographs. He was 18 when he had to leave, headed join the good fight overseas with a pregnant wife and a daughter on the way. She was trying hard to make it alone, wondering if her love was gonna make it home. He wrote her, said, baby, I promise we'll be okay. They didn't have no money, desperation from holes in his old jeans. You can see the scared in her eyes of life's uncertainty. But they lived the sweat, the blood, the tears, and they never did turn back. 'Cause they knew all the things that they had, and those faded photographs, faded photographs. I was 19 when I found that frame on the mantle over the fireplace at my grandma's on the south side of Chicago.
That is Kelly Daniels.
Thank you.
No, thank you. That was Andrea's giving me some text behind the scene here, and she's just like, "Where did we find this guy? Oh, this is amazing! Thanks for doing this." So, tell us about the relationship you have with Mr. Brooks Herring.
So Brooks Herring actually. So obviously I've made a lot of friends here in Nashville and stuff like that, and I'm all about collaboration and writing and things like that. Anytime I can get a song right, and I was working with this kid who had moved to town, and he had basically, put out there on social media he wasn't a very strong singer, but he felt he was more of a songwriter, and he just wanted some help and whatnot. He had actually booked a write with Brooks Herring, and they wanted to write at my place, and so they came here, and I got a little writing room set up, and they wrote in there, and I was doing another write in the main living room area, and they came out and they're like, "Hey, tell us what you think of this." And they played the song for me that they had written, and I was like, "Wow, really good." And so I got to talking to Brooks a little bit, and I'm like, "We should set up a write one time." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So Brooks was late for the write. He was supposed to be here, and songwriting in Nashville is a job. So you set a time, it's time to go to work. Well, Brooks was running late, and he called me and said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be about 30 minutes late. I apologize." He goes, "But to make it up, I'll get you a bottle of bourbon because I love my bourbon." And he said, "I'll get you a bottle of bourbon." And he showed up. And the thing was with Faded Photographs, I had pitched that song in probably 4 or 5 writes, songwrites. And, people are like, "Yeah, no, I don't know. Everyone wants to write like Morgan Wallen-y, whiskey songs and whatnot, blah, blah, blah." So I kind of told him the story, and he was like, "Dude, that's what we need to write." And I said, "Well, the clock started at 4:00. You should know better being a military guy. If you're not on time, people die." So I said, I started writing the song anyway, since work was supposed to start. And I had gotten pretty much, the whole basis of it down, and said, I'm really struggling with the military part of it because I didn't live that life. Brooks had a wife, children, all that. So he deployed. So he knew what that felt like, and I was really able to. He was like, I feel that the best songs are truthfully written when there's raw emotion. It's a true story. So Brooks was able to really, really relate to that, and we came together on that, and just boom. I think we finished it in 30 minutes.
That's when it clicks, it clicks. I don't know any musician that knows, working in the space, I don't know any musician that knows how to be on time anywhere, for the record. I just have never. I have never experienced it. We have gigs. We came down to Nashville. We brought 28 musicians with us, and it's not that they're being disrespectful. They're passionate about their craft, and they're trying to hone that craft. Well, when you put a bunch of them in the room together, they're honing together, and so we gig until 1 a.m. and then we on the road, and Big Vinny's place is way too far away from the city, but an hour out, and then we get back, and then everyone starts jamming, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock until 8 or 9 o'clock, and then we had to go back to the city to get back into our venues, and they just can't do it. They can't do it. Too much fun.
Man, it's a vibe, and truthfully, it's innocent. It's almost like a gambler, right? You don't walk away from a heater. So if you're in a right and you got another right scheduled, but you're on a heater and there's something going on, you're just like, hey man, like I can't walk away from this right now. Or you're playing a show and you got 30 people trying to talk to you, and that could be 30 more fans that stream your music and stuff. And you just got to kind of, it's minute by minute in this town.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Daniels. Again, love the content we've already had. And we're excited to hear more from you here in a bit.
Thank you.
Frank, you want to do a quick talk about your book? And I mean, we're not going to do this forever, but let's get your content out there real quick.
Well, my second book came out in the end of June, and it's the second book in the series I'm working on. We've had some issues with the second book. You can't search it on Amazon. So what I did was I added it to my website, my author's website, and you can go directly to the book on the website. But in order to do it on Amazon, you got to put my name in the search box, then you got to go over to the drop down, and you got to go to books and click on that. Then both of my books come up. But if you just put the title of my second book in, it doesn't come up. And I'm working with the publisher, trying to get them to fix the darn thing, but it's kind of like trying to teach someone something that doesn't want to learn. And hey, Kelly, whereabouts in Chicago? I grew up on the South Side myself.
Well, you probably heard that the final line of that song probably resonated with you then.
Oh, heck yeah.
I was 19 when I found that frame on the mantle over the fireplace at my grandma's on the south side of Chicago. So 38th in Sacramento, Bridgeport, not too far from White Sox Park.
Yeah, neat. I was a little farther south. I was in the Heights.
Chicago Heights.
Yeah, now named the worst city in Illinois to live in.
Yes. We left there probably, I want to say third or fourth grade, and we moved out towards Palos. So I wasn't far from the Heights after that. I was in Palos.
Well, I joined the Army, and I really haven't looked back since then. I go back and visit family because there's a lot of them still there. But my other choice was working next to my dad in the steel mill in Harvey, and that was not something that I wanted to do.
Mr. Kraynak, give us the meat and potatoes now. Tell us, dig into FSB Initiative Incorporated and give us all the stuff.
You got it. First of all, though, I got to say, I laughed when I seen the picture that you have up there. That's actually my sergeant at arms. That's not me. If you look at the picture that you have, it says above my name. That's not me, as you can tell.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's my sergeant at arms. Because we also have a charitable bike organization. We're not an MC or an RC. We're a charitable bike organization. But he's my sergeant at arms for our nonprofit. Yeah, that is Axel right there. Hold that right there, please. 1 second. I got to take a picture because Axel's going to love it. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. He's out there. He's out there every single outreach with us. So again, we are the FSB Initiative. We are a 100% all volunteer nonprofit organization, helps homeless veterans off the street and onto their feet. That is our tagline. What's different about us is, again, we are all volunteer. We are direct donation based. So we do not go after grants. We are strictly donation based. So people donate $1 on the website. People donate $100 on the website. People donate $1,000, whatever it is. 93% of every dollar goes to help our homeless brothers and sisters. Our overhead's minimal. We have the truck, the trailer, the insurance, and a post office box. That's it. The FSB phone, everything else is all donated. I donate the phone, everything for the internet, it's all donated. This program was in 2016. I was homeless due to my own stupidity. I got into one of the best programs I ever seen in my life, and then wanted to transfer back east because I grew up. I was born and raised in Northeast PA. I wanted to get closer. There was no open GPD programs, which is called the Grant Per Diem program, which is for homeless veterans. I got to Delaware. I got and put one of the worst programs I ever seen in my life. Basically, they stuck us in a room and said, okay, you got a year to get yourself right. I'm like, what? Where's our case management? Where's this? Where's that? Where's the vehicle to take us to the VA for our doctor's appointments? They didn't have any of that, even though in the grant, it's supposed to be in there. And they asked me how I knew that. I said, because at the other program, they taught me this. Within the first week of me being homeless, getting off the street, getting into the program, the GPD program, I was one of the only people who had a clean driver's license. So I started driving everybody to their appointments. I then became a peer specialist, and then I became a certified drug and alcohol specialist. So drug and alcohol counselor. And when I said I wanted to come back east, they wanted me to stay out west. And I had no family or friends out there really. So I didn't want to stay. So like I said, went to Delaware, got into one of the worst programs. Within a year, we got that program completely shut down. They got their grant yanked from them. They were feeding us worse than they were feeding prisoners. Again, they just stuck us in a room. They just got their grant, $867,943.17. That was their grant. And basically all they did was come check on us once a month. That was it. So I swore we're going to do something better, because they were touting how they go out and get homeless. What they did was their version of outreaches were setting up a table over by the YMCA. Are you a homeless veteran? We can help. And I said, no. There's got to be a better way. So with the help of me and 3 of my Army buddies, we sat down and we talked about it, and we said, let's be boots on the ground. And that's where forward support base comes from. Because when you go up, when you join the military, there's, if there's a conflict or anything, even for going to the field, there's a forward support base. So that's where the FSB tag, initiative came from. So again, we are straight boots on the ground. We physically go out into the homeless communities. We go into the camps. We go into the abandoned buildings, threaten to be arrested a bunch of times for going into abandoned buildings, but we don't care. I told him, I said, go ahead, arrest me. That'll be great PR for you guys. I don't care, because if our brothers and sisters are in there, we're going in there. So we just recently became, in Pennsylvania, we are now on the 211. So even during this podcast, if that phone rings, I'm answering it, because this phone literally stays on me 24/7. Right next to the bed, I answer this phone. It doesn't matter. We are 24/7 outreach. And we work with getting them off the street and on their feet. Now, sometimes you're dealing with people who have mental health, issues, drug and alcohol addiction. We try to get them into, get them to go into rehab if they're willing to. And if they do, great. We have a pretty good success rate with that, because we use the Wilkes-Barre VA here, or also Coatesville, Pennsylvania has an amazing program. Mental health, we get them to with the social workers, try to find out why they haven't been to the VA, what we need to do to get them on the right track before they go into the homeless program. Now, again, we started this in 2017. In 2019, a friend of mine said, you should become a nonprofit. And I said, I don't want to get into all that stuff. I said, nope. And they convinced me to go nonprofit. So we have been a nonprofit since 2019. And since then, we're sitting at 249 homeless veterans off the street. And when I say off the street, I'm talking went through a program and completed. We're hoping this weekend, when we do our next outreach here in Luzerne County, we get our 250th. I mean, realistically, I hope there is no homeless veteran out there. A lot of times people are like, oh, well, we didn't find anybody. And I'm like, well, guess what? Sometimes that's a good thing. That means that they're not out here. So we cover our team here, the NEPA team. We cover Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Delaware. Now, we have a team in Maryland that's it's the 3 guys that I served with, and we're hoping to let them really run with it. We also have a team in Ohio. We have a team in Florida. We have a team in Tennessee, but they're on hiatus right now. We're getting ready to start a team in Ithaca, New York, a team in Boston, Massachusetts. And just this past week, I was contacted by a very good friend of mine's son, who works for the government, wants to start a team in Rockford, Illinois. So again, we're going to grow slowly because what we do is I don't hand them everything. They have to earn their steps the same way I had to do it. Our Ohio team did the same exact thing, and they're doing a great job up there.
I want to do a quick shout out because you are coming to us through Beth and Jimmy King out of North Carolina. And they came to one of your events just recently, didn't they?
Yes, they came to our Ohio. They came to our Ohio team's first ride. It was just a leisure ride basically, and they were going to come to our event. We just held our 5th annual dice run. That's pretty much our biggest fundraiser of the year. So, again, our CBO, we use it. We go to other people's rides. We ride all the time, and we use that to go to, bring awareness to our program. We're not an MC or an RC, so we don't have to follow the same kind of rules, and we get a lot of respect from a lot of the other clubs. Everything from 1% clubs to, Wyoming Valley Motor Club. They're big supporters of ours. Matter of fact, their new president is a veteran, so he loves talking to us and trying to help us out. But yeah, Jimmy and Beth are awesome. They're good people.
They are superstars. They've come on to, and again, veteran, disabled veteran. I think he's more enabled now than he's ever been enabled because of the loss of his leg. But the guy doesn't know when to stop or quit, and they run Cran Eater's Wife, which is kind of a comedy group, but they don't slow down.
No,
and it's awesome having them working, again, collaborating with all the organizations. I think that is a big growing piece. That's what the People's Patriot Project is about. It's at the beginning of the show, we say we're growing, we're going to grow. And it's not about the business side of trying to collaborate. It is, and I'm mixing my words up here. We're not looking to make the big dollars to pay people, just like you. We're looking to take care of people, and most of us have it within our means just to help. Most of us have the resources, time, spending some time. And if you have some extra spare time, reach out to an organization in your space and just find out what it takes. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but that's one of the things. Like I've helped a few different nonprofits start up, who wanted to help veterans. And I said, here, I sat down and helped them write their bylaws and everything. I wasn't an expert. I just gave them the mine and said, let's tailor it to your program. And for us, through social media, we don't just help just in those states. We help people all over the United States because I have a list of every single GPD and SSVF and bridge program in the United States, including the phone numbers, emails, and all contacts. So through TikTok, especially, I'll get somebody in Texas. Hey, I got a homeless veteran. He's getting ready to be evicted. What do we do? I go on my laptop, look up where I give them all the information, tell them to contact me if they don't have any luck, because I become a bull in a china shop then. I won't stop till I know that they're off, that they're being taken care of. And I don't care what state they're in, because that's what we do, and that's why I have the team that we have behind us.
Well, and that's how we built. Chaz, I think we're going to connect more is what I think.
Terry, I see somebody, I'm homeless. And Terry, when you're done, write this phone number down. Terry, if you're there, write down the number 302-345-3042. Give me a call right after this. And let me get you with some resources. Especially if you're a veteran, I will get you in touch with some resources.
We got
Fair enough.
A couple other. We're going to put it up there. Mr. Daniels has been hanging in our space and this is a different Mr. Daniels. This is Terry Daniels, not Kelly Daniels. But he has been in our space for a number of years, and he's carrying the badge for Project Die Hard out of Southern Illinois, Northern Kentucky. Brian Gibson's organization there. But this is literally how we feed this breadth of support across the country, is building relationships, having conversations. I've got another guy in Rhode Island who recently just reached out to us, needs a little support. I'm going to pick your brain about it, Chaz.
Yeah.
Again, it's not hard, folks. What I will say is it requires you to invest yourself.
Yep.
And if you're not interested in doing that, and again, if you don't got a good track record of doing it, I guess I'm going to say stay away, because you're muddying the waters. We run into it all the time. We have people come on board and they're on here for 3 months and then, they're gone. And I just spent a lion's share of training, working through the processes, getting them all set up, and then they're gone. And it moves our mission forward 3 steps, and then we end up taking, 2 of them back. So it's still progress, and we still have that conversation, still progress. But
I've been approached that people said I should do my own podcast called Homeless to Homeowner, a veteran story. So maybe we could talk about that, with doing it through here instead. You know what I mean? Because again, 2016 I'm homeless. 2025 I own my own house. 3.5 acres, big, beautiful 2,800 square foot ranch home, and it's all because of my own hard work and dedication and being pushed. I have a great team behind me that push me to do the things that I do, because there are some times, again, I'm a VSO during the day and I run the program during the day. And that was one of the things that when I took the job as a veteran service officer, I said, look, if my FSB phone rings, I'm going to answer it. And if I'm with a client, if I'm with another veteran doing a claim, I'll answer it, say, I'm going to call you right back. And as soon as I know what that claim, I call them, even if somebody else is waiting, because, they understand how important my mission is to me. Because again, nobody should be homeless in the United States. No veteran should ever be homeless. Now, sometimes we do it to ourselves. I did it to myself, but there are resources out there. And just knowing that there are people out there who can help you with those resources is really important.
So when we started the People's Patriot Project, we were having conversations with people that were branding and marketing experts. And they're like, well, why would you get into this in this saturated field? And I'm like, we are losing 6,000 veterans a year to suicide. That number fluctuates, folks.
Yeah.
There's no 22.
Right.
The number 17 to 76, and there's no way to track all the ones that attempting, we don't know, aren't there. And then we get into first responders, and that's another monster on itself. 58,000 organizations saying they're helping veterans and first responders. And I would say less than 10% of them are actually getting their boots dirty in any shape or form. And we got to do something about it. We got to cut the fluff. That's something that's in our bylaws. I think, Chaz, we're going to do awesome working together. It is time to get to work, folks. Everyone has a device in, around, or by them. And this is our Check 6. This last week, we'll get this up all figured out and get a graphic up here. Our Check 6 mission or our call to action is, first of all, check yourself, man. Know your mental, know your space, know where you're at. If you are not in a space that is safe for you, then you need to reach out to a trusted brother or sister or organization. I can tell you right now, Chaz has already got his number up on the screen. You can reach out to the People's Patriot Project. If you are in a space and you're questioning, you need to reach out. Now, all of us are built to be involved in relationships. I want you to pull up your text threads. I want you to type in, just checking on you. This is part of our Check 6. You're going to copy and paste that, and you're going to send it to 6 people in your contact list. You are proactively letting people know you are thinking about them. I'm going to challenge you. Don't do your bestie that you talk to every day. Reach out to the ones you haven't talked to. I know, and we didn't have cell phones when I served, But I know, I watch my son, they have everyone's contact in their unit, their section, their battalion. The crazy, I still have my orders sitting over here, and the crazy part is it still has everyone's social security number, every single person. And I'm just like, why was this okay at one point? Off the subject, on the subject, reach out to 6 people just thinking about you. Challenge yourself on that one sideways relationship. All of us have one. The wheels are turning right now. There's someone in your life, things got sideways because a dumb decision by them or a dumb decision by you. Check on them. Sorry, not sorry. Check your 6. Mr. Daniels, what's next for you, brother?
I'm in the music business nowadays. Unfortunately, it's not just your songwriting and your talent. It's they want you to be an influencer on TikTok, or they want you to have this, they want you to have that. So I actually had a rapper approach me with a song, and it's not really my well, he just told me he was a songwriter. It just so happens he's a rapper. And he had come out to a big event / round that I was playing. He's like, man, I'm really trying to get into these things like you guys do, you and Brooks and everything. And, I think I'm a pretty good writer. And I'm like, listen, I'm kind of busy right now. You just got to give me your best verse, spit your best verse. And he's like, huh? And I said, you just approached somebody like me or somebody like Brooks. And you said, hey, I want to do this and I'm a good songwriter. Give me your best verse. What do you got? And he spit a verse, and I was like, wow, like you are actually really good. And I was like, I really got this hoppy kind of vibe from it, like something I feel would be really strong in the line dancing community. And I was like, yo, you mind if we change that up a little bit? And he was like, sure. So that's what we did. So I just tracked that with a pretty famous rapper, and we're waiting for the mix and master to come on, but it's going to be called Out Yonder, which is basically like anybody who knows, whether you're in Pennsylvania or whether you're in Illinois, you drive 45, 50 minutes outside of Chicago and you're in the cornfields. I mean, those guys are redneck as shit out there. It is country. I mean, I was just recently played in Pennsylvania and it was the same thing. Once you got out of Pittsburgh, it was like, this is God's country, man. I mean, so it was like, it doesn't matter if you're south of the Mason-Dixon, this, that, and the other. If you're out yonder, you know what it's like to be blue collar and, have a 12-pack in a cooler and, leave a cloud of dust on a gravel drive. So, it does. I don't care if you're from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, California. California, we all know. But either way, it's country, and no matter where you go.
You get really a lot of trouble when you say out yonder down in Texas, because right over there might be 2 hours down the road.
Oh, yeah.
And well, what song you want to roll with now, brother?
Let's see. I think I sent you Kiss Me Goodbye was another one I sent you. So, for those of you guys that aren't so hip on, don't forget some White Lightning. I saw somebody comment on that. I think I have some of that in my fridge. But anyways, a lot of people don't know, like in the songwriting community, sometimes where a song comes from can resonate with somebody so differently. So, for instance, I got a chance to sit down and I was absolutely floored when I learned this, but the song What Hurts the Most by Rascal Flatts was actually written by a guy named Jeffrey Steele. And I was like, man, dude, like what kind of breakup did you go through that made you write that song? And he said that song wasn't about a woman at all. It wasn't about a breakup at all. That song was actually about me and my father. His father was an old, stubborn military man, and he wanted to go chase his dreams in music, and his dad was not doing too well. He was sick, and his dad told him to get the hell out of the house, go to Nashville and chase your dreams. I don't need you here to take care of me. And it kind of was, tension in there. And so he did it. He left the house and went out there. And that's where the premise of the song comes from when he says, what hurts the most was being so close and having so much to say and watching you walk away. He's singing from his father's point of view, that like not seeing what I was trying to do was love you. So I'm sorry that I told you to leave and go do this and blah, blah, blah. So, but the world perceived it as this massive breakup song, and it wasn't even a breakup song at all. It was about a boy and his father. So that, like, to me was like, wow, you know. So me, like I said, I came from nothing. My family really didn't have much. My grandparents were orphans. They had my mother. Then my grandfather got shipped off to war. He made it home. And then my mom met my dad. He got shipped off to war. And he suffered a lot with PTSD, alcoholism, drugs, everything else. And then he just left. And it was like, so years down the road, as I became a young man, my first relationship and the first girl I ever fell in love with just left. And the thing was both of them never said goodbye. Like that, they just didn't come home one day. And it was like, man, like, why does our life suck so bad? Like, why does it suck so bad? Like, you could have at least said goodbye. My dad could have kissed me goodbye. He could have hugged me goodbye. The girl could have done the same thing. So I went the opposite of Jeffrey Steele, and I took the pain from my father leaving and my first love relationship, and I made it an actual love song. But it's all about how that they left without saying goodbye.
This is Kelly Daniels. Kiss Me Goodbye.
I remember just how you looked first time you drove my truck. In that river rock bed where the blacktop ends, we made love. Those first time shaky hugs, green eyes falling in love. And now you can't tell me, girl, why wasn't this good enough? You left me holding my heart in my hands. And on that day I lost my best friend. Was this all a game, all a lie? One more day, one more night. You could have kissed me goodbye. Pick up the phone, come back home. You could have kissed me goodbye. Now I'll kiss you goodbye.
I remember just how you said, baby, you might be the one. And that song you played on the day will always remind me of us. I wanted you to myself, you were already tied up. And now you keep calling me, are you and her still in love?
You left me holding my heart in my hands. And on that day I lost my best friend. Was this all a game, all a lie? One more day, one more night. You could have kissed me goodbye.
That is Kelly Daniels, Kiss Me Goodbye. That is a powerful, powerful, powerful song, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And if I may, I don't know how much time you got, but Chaz, your story really spoke to me. I want to, and in your intro here, Mark, you had put there that Patriot as somebody who's on, like they're just somebody that's on the front lines. So I wanted to share something with you guys. Like I love people at the end of the day, and I mean we're a united country and all that stuff. And a few years ago at Christmas, I was alone. I was here in Nashville. My family's mostly in Chicago, and I knew there was going to be other musicians and people that are in the business that weren't going to get to go home and see their family for the holidays and stuff. So I had said, hey, if there's any people out there, I put in like the musician chats and stuff like that, hey, if anybody's gonna be alone for the holidays, you're welcome to come to my house. I'm going to Publix and I'm going to spend $1,000. I was fortunate enough to have some success with some of my songs and my music. And I said, I'm going to go to Publix. I'm going to spend $1,000 and I want to prepare meals for homeless people. Cause up and down Broadway on Christmas morning are just groups of them sitting in groups that don't have families. They don't get a Christmas. They don't get anything. And I said, so if you want to come over Christmas Eve, we'll play some cards, we'll have some drinks, and I want to prepare meals. And I got a couple Cambros and some tinfoil, and I want to prepare as many as we can with ham and mashed potatoes and green beans. And I had 15 people respond to that. And I'm not going to lie. So I sent back in the group message and I said, I have one condition. And they said that. And I said, you mentioned faith earlier. I said, God says, give with the left so the right doesn't see. Right. So you can't post this on social media. We're not videoing this. We're not doing it for any kind of recognition. If you're going to do this, we're doing it out of the goodness of our heart. And 12 of the 15 dropped out and said, no, not doing it. So 2 other people came over. We stayed up to about 2 a.m. We ended up preparing 65 meals. And we got up Christmas morning at 8:00 and went around the streets of Nashville in my F-250 with 2 Cambros in the back. And we went up to people and we said, we just wanted to wish you Merry Christmas and give you a home cooked meal. And that's all.
Kelly, it's funny you said that because that's like, if you go on our website, there is no bios on any of us. The only thing that's on there is my video. And because it's my story that started this. So I get that. I am the face of the organization because of my story. But we always say, and I say this all the time, it's not about me. It's not about we. It's about helping our brothers and sisters off the street and on their feet. We get a lot of people who do the same thing. They come out, they want to take pictures. I mean, they want to take pictures with the homeless. And one of our things is you cannot do that. Exactly. We had a volunteer that used to come out and she would literally say, I just want to take a picture. I'm like, you cannot do that. Mm-hmm. And my final straw was she took a picture of a homeless guy and he was a veteran. And he's like, look, my kids don't know I'm homeless.
Yes.
She took the picture and she posted it on social media. So I banned her from ever coming back out with us because of that. You don't do that. You don't take advantage. If you look on our page, you'll see pictures of people, but you'll see the backside. We'll take pictures of them at the trailer getting the gear, but never their faces. Yeah. The only faces you ever see is our volunteers if they're facing that way. Because if you're doing it for recognition, you're doing it for attaboys, we don't want you. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. We don't need you. Because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. You're not being your true self. You're doing it for, kudos, attaboys, and, some big thumbs up on social media. And that's not the way you do it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, like I said, unfortunately, the music business has kind of been tainted currently to where it's not about talent. It's not about your songwriting, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but you start tooting my songs. Everyone who hears them is like, man, dude, this guy's a freaking star. These songs are amazing. And, but I don't have a big following on TikTok. I don't have, millions of followers on. So the record labels and the people don't want to look at you. And the thing is that the musicians are so just consumed by it. They're like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to go out and be like, look at me. I'm helping the homeless and this and the other. And I said, we're not doing this on Jesus's birthday for you to gain followers. Like, I mean, not at all. We're doing this because it's a good freaking deed. And I can promise you that when you're done with it, and you've probably witnessed it firsthand, Chaz, that like they were in tears. When we handed them a home cooked meal, they were in tears. And they were like, you really like, this is the most wonderful Christmas I've had in years.
Well, yeah, our biggest hurdle out there is the Vietnam veteran.
Yes.
The Vietnam veterans that are still homeless don't want to get off the street. They don't, because for so long they've been, kicked to that curb. And, so we make sure when we dress them out. See, one of the things we do is so we come across a homeless veteran and they don't want to get off the street yet. We dress them out head to toe with brand new clothing, from boots all the way up. Now, in the wintertime, it costs us about $175 to $225, depending on their size, to dress them out. That's a lot of money when you're doing all these outreaches. Summer, it's a little different because you're talking about shorts and t-shirts. But I do that because when I got off the street and I got to shave my head and put brand new clothing on, I felt like $1 million. And that literally, I did a 180. I literally did a 180. So that's, you just giving them that home cooked meal, again, that might've been their first meal they had in days, and that could change their perspective. The most innocent act of kindness can change a person around. I've watched it. I've been there myself. It happened to me. The one thing I'll say to all the viewers, and anybody who's watching us or will watch us coming down when it's posted, is if you come across homeless people, do yourself one favor. I don't care. Do not hand them money ever, because you do not know if they're active in addiction or what they're going to do with that money. Go buy them a meal. Go buy them some new shoes. Go buy them some new socks. Buy them new underwear. Because I see it all the time. I run into it constantly. Hey, can I just give me some money? I don't need clothes. No, I'm looking at your ratty ass shoes. You need shoes. Here's a brand new pair of, $80 boots. Throw them on. And then we might go back out there the following week to do follow-up, or 2 days later to do follow-up, because we're going to get them into a program, or I'm going to work on a claim for them. They went and sold the boots. It's not all the time, but it does happen.
You know what? It's so crazy you just said that. And Mark, if I may, I don't know. I feel that the universe, whether it's faith or energy or whatever you call it, again, we're all here for a reason today. And for all your viewers and for Chaz, I want to share something with you guys. And I'm not doing this for recognition, but a few months back, I met a young man, and he was definitely, there's something wrong with him. He's slow, or seemed like very low IQ or anything like that. And I got to talking to him, and he told me a story, and he said, I was a veteran, and then I was a truck driver, and this and the other. And he's like, I tried to hang myself. And when I did that, I was found, I was almost dead, but, I suffered severe brain damage after that. And I said, okay. And then I looked at his living situation. He's living in a school bus. It doesn't have running water or anything like that. And out in a field that somebody owns the property, and he's paying like $500 a month to be there. And I said, so you said you could drive? And he's like, yeah. And I said, let's tell you what, I'm going to give you a job. So I gave him a job driving my tour bus. I'm happy to report that we've been 2-3 months in now. He's driven us from Chicago to Ohio to Colorado, you name it. He was borderline homeless, suicidal veteran. And this weekend, he drove us on a run. It was his 34th birthday. And we brought him up saying happy birthday to him in front of a packed house. He broke down in tears that he couldn't believe that he was there on a stage, driving a tour bus, and wearing all brand new clothes. So he's actually right here. I brought him into my home. Come here. This is Jeff Roll.
What's up, brother?
He's crying right now. But hey. Chaz, what you said. So Jeff Roll, what did we present you with on your birthday yesterday?
Oh, everything. From a bag of
brand new suitcase with
clothes,
New
Still
underwear,
new
socks,
flip
jeans, flip flops, cowboy boots.
cowboy boots.
I was gonna say you have to have cowboy boots, right?
Yeah.
So me and my wife have taken them in, and we're caring for them. All right, buddy.
That's awesome, man. And again, see, it's the simplest thing. In that sometimes, we have some of our volunteers. As a matter of fact, one of the chapter presidents that's going to be coming up, and the one in Boston, was a homeless veteran, and now he's ready to run his own team.
Yeah.
So because he believes so much in our mission, because we were there to help him. So again, you never know what that little thing you do can change somebody's life. And like I said, a fresh shower, one day we'd love to have an RV where we can give them a shower right there on the spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Have the clothes, sit down, cook them a meal while we're there, instead of just taking, because we take out granola and all that kind of stuff, mainly protein type stuff for them to eat while they're out there, because it takes a couple days sometimes to get them to a program. And one of the things we're hoping down the line, some angel investor will come along and give, there's many old motels. A motel would be the perfect interim housing while we work on getting them in the permanent housing. But that's a long-term goal. Again, we became a nonprofit in 2019. So it's only 2025. I said by 2030, we'll have interim housing. I'm working on getting in front of Congress and talking about the homeless epidemic and what we go through. There's right now, tonight, there'll be 48,000 homeless veterans. There's 1.6 million at risk tomorrow morning of waking up becoming homeless in the United States. There's got to be something done about this. It's got to stop. I hope that someday before I pass away, and I'm 58 years old, I hope before I can literally take all the letters off my truck and use it to haul around my motorcycle. You know what I mean? Buy it, shut the nonprofit down and live a life. But until that day happens, and I always say it's an unrealistic goal. Yeah. But I still see it as a goal.
It's too easy. It's not unrealistic. It's totally. It just takes some action. Chaz, you say you need an RV. We'll get that part fixed within the week. We got that. That's done. We have some resources that can accommodate that. We'll get that, and
that'd be awesome.
We got a guy who's given away over 300 RVs in the last 2 years to homeless vets, kind of south of the Mason-Dixon line, because it doesn't make sense to put them up north because they can't afford to put the fuels in them.
No.
And so we got an amazing team of people. This is the collaboration conversations we need to have.
Yeah.
And just having Kelly's voice involved with this is I hope we can have and continue conversations that builds and grows. And again, we never realized what we were building when we created. The only reason we started a podcast, and this goes back to that conversation, I never wanted to be the face. Mm-hmm. I wanted the face of the People's Patriot Project to be a silhouette of a man and a woman that you can tell has served and has given either some part of their life to the service of their community and their country. We didn't want to do this. And then oddly enough, we're out working with a hunting group, and the guys out there shooting pheasants, and all of a sudden they hear Andrea's voice and they're like, "Is that Andrea Eichmann from We Got Your 6-6?" And we're waving with our shotguns and stuff. And it's like, we do have this conversation every once in a while where people are like, "Oh, you just do this so you can get a recognition." No, sorry, folks. That is not why we are doing this. The reason why we're doing this is because we've done a horse poo-poo job, and we've muddied the waters with the 58,000 organizations across the country that aren't doing the job.
Right.
The other side is our veterans don't know where to go. Even the VSOs, sorry, this isn't an attack at you, Chaz.
No.
They don't know the resources.
No.
And the resources that we have are federally funded resources that aren't fully funded. So that's the other side of all this. So we have to rely on the men and women who are willing to put their boots on the ground, put some sweat out there in the world, and get the job done. And I know that we can do it. I don't think it's unrealistic, Chaz. I think it's too easy. That's what our drill sergeant said, right? Too easy. You can do this.
True. But it gets people to think, you know what I mean? And realistically, because again, you know, there's one of the nice things for us is because I've been doing this for so long and I've made so many connections, I know the programs that will take in veterans that are veteran programs that aren't funded, like the Allegheny Veteran Center out in Erie, Pennsylvania. They will take in, because here's the problem, and here's one of the biggest caveats that people don't understand. It used to be to get a homeless veteran off the street, they had to have 181 continuous days of service. That was it. So basically, you know, get through basic, you can get into a program. Now, after Afghanistan, they charged it to 2 years of active duty service. Who does that screw over? It screws over the reservists, the National Guard guys. You can have a guy who's done 20 years and doesn't have 2 years of active duty service. I've helped one. And because then they can't get into the GPD, the SSVF, or the bridge program. So we rely on these other programs out there that say, if they served 1 day and they say they got medically discharged, there's, you know, they'll take them in. You know, a lot of places will have it where they can't take service dogs, which is, I don't even want to get started on that. But if you're a veterans program and somebody has an actual service dog, you got to take them. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. So in my mind, you know, I'm glad that we have these other programs that they don't care. And it's just, as long as they're not, they don't have the two big, there's two charges that no programs will touch you with. If you have arson charges or child abuse charges, doesn't matter if you were a general, you will not get into any of those programs. And that goes across the board. That even goes in regular shelters. Like we can't get, like we've had, you know, when I go out there, I actually have to ask them, do you have either one of these charges? You know, and if most of them are going to say no, then we get them up to the social worker and we find out that they have child abuse charges. Well, then, you know, there's nothing we can do. Here's some more clothes. Here's some more food, you know, because the local shelters won't even take them in.
But there are programs out there that can accommodate that. Yeah. And we're aware of one here in Minnesota that, I mean, it's through the Salvation Army and it's not directly a veteran program, but it's an all men's program.
Right.
And so that's, there's ways. Yeah. And again,
well, our Salvation out here, our Salvation Armies out here are packed. Like there's a waiting list to get into them. That's the worst part.
We've taken on, I don't know what we kind of call it a pledge. We kind of, it's our notion. We know why we get to do this. Thank you to the service members and first responders that have committed their time, sweat, blood, limbs, family, and life to give us the freedoms that we have that allow us to do what we do daily. So you can lay your big fat heads on the pillows of freedom daily. That's not written there. Those are my words. If you don't take time to think every moment of your every day that you get to do absolutely everything you do, what coffee you get to choose, what vehicle you get to drive, what house, it's because of the men and women who've sacrificed part of their life so you can do this. Our men and women in blue who are walking out their front door every single day, not knowing whether they're going to be walking back through. You need to spend some time thinking about this. You should put it on a little index card in your mirror and say, what am I going to do today? Gosh, you guys got me all fired up, man. This is where I say cool, calm, and collect until then we just got to get to work. We're getting to work. Stuff's happening in the background already, Chaz, just to let you know. Messages have been put out. We're going to drive this thing and drive it all the way till we don't have to worry about our men and women anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Every 6 months, I take a different organization and contribute royalties from my book because honestly, I'll never be in the black on my books. So what difference does it make? Mm-hmm. How do we get funds to your organization?
Check online. We have, on our website, fsbinc.org, there's actually a donations spot. You can donate anyway, Venmo, PayPal, bank account, whatever. But you could take my number down and we could talk more about that. I mean, I'd be honored, donation wise, again, because we are direct donation based. So, and I tell everybody, every single dollar counts. Every single.
Is there a problem with me using your organization, saying that I'm going? Okay, I just want to make sure, because some folks get really upset that you're naming an organization you're going to give the royalties to, but honestly,
no, absolutely, and that's why everything we make everything so easy. Like we could tell somebody on the street, what's your website? FSBinc.org. It's so simple. My email address is so simple, chaz@fsbinc.org. We followed the military way of keeping it simple. I'm not gonna say I don't care. Keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean? It's the whole thing of because when you get people out there, trying to remember these big long names and stuff like that, they're, they might lose my business card, or they'll lose that piece of paper. But FSBinc.org, it's so simple. It's easy for people to remember.
Great. I'll look at setting something up in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, just hit me up, let me know, and we'll promote it on our website too. That way we could promote your book and everything else. I'll promote it on TikTok and everything else. We don't have a great big following on TikTok, but we do what we call update lives every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on there to tell everybody what's going on, when our next outreaches are, because a lot of times we get volunteers that will come out in some of the different states. Like we always have the Florida team vice president, we have the Ohio team president, and me in the box. So we first 45 minutes are business. It's all about what we have coming up, what outreaches we're doing, things like that. Then the last 15 minutes is just straight up chaos. We allow just free flowing bullshit, I
don't even know how to get the tickety top.
Yeah, but don't bother. Sometimes we call it toxic talk because there's veteran groups on there that go after each other instead of working together. That's one of the big things it's horrible that, instead of working together and being allies, they'd rather just tear the other group down. And I always tell people, they try to get us involved in, hey, this organization isn't doing this or this. We always say this, we're Switzerland. We don't get involved. Don't bring us to your bullshit. Because I live by there's 4 things I live by. And some of you might have heard of it. The 4 agreements: be impeccable with your word, do not take things personally, do not make assumptions, and always do your best. Can't do any of those things if we're getting in other people's drama. Plain and simple.
That is such a we travel the country to live stream events for people as well. And we've gone into a couple of spaces, and there's some organizations we just will never work with again. And but I don't spill it out in the air. No one knows about it. It stays behind the curtain.
Yep.
But at the same time, we do have to be in a space and place to hold people accountable when they're not doing it right.
Right.
And we will have that conversation, but I'm not here to sling mud. We're here to make a difference. And so the second you start doing that, they'll do the same back to you, and then both you're in a pile of.
But see, there are certain influencers on there that we know real personally well. And they're like, hey, just don't get involved with this because this is about to go down. And they'll hold their feet to fire. A lot of times they'll cook them so hard, but then a couple months later they're back under a different name but it's still the same faces. And it's like, it's like, oh Lord, don't come to us about this, or they try to come into our lives and they want to give an explanation or talk. We don't do it. We don't have time for it.
No,
but there are groups out there that'll deal with you. We don't have time for it. I don't. We have a mission. I live 24/7 helping veterans, besides just doing claims. And that's the other beautiful thing too is, I always said I want to be able to, I always said I want to quit my job and do this full time, but you can't do it as if you're not getting paid. Well, I won an award. It's sitting back there on my wall. It's called the Silver Bayonet. It's the second highest award you can get from the AMVETS if you're not an officer. And after they handed that award to me, I said, this isn't my award. There's videos of online of me doing this. So this isn't my award. It's for every volunteer. I've been working for the last couple of years of getting every single volunteer, even from the past, to get their picture taken with it, because they deserve that. Because without them, we're not around. So they approached me right afterwards. Hey, how would you like to become a VSO? And I said, absolutely. So I get to be paid during the day to take care, help veterans. And then I get to work my nonprofit 24/7 on top of it. So, I'm happy. That's just how it is.
So we've completely fallen out of the format of our show, which is completely 100% okay. And I mean, we're more than willing to let this thing run as long as everyone's willing to stay. But let's put some, we got to correct some actions here. And so we want to hear Kelly's last song. And we usually have a segment called Final Thoughts, where we're going to collaborate. If you guys have time to stay after the show, we shut down all the stuff and we just sit and talk. And if you got to go, you got to go. But we all are in a text thread together right now. We actually are all in an email thread as well. I want to have these conversations and I want to grow together, because I think if this group of people right here can put some smack down, I really do think that we're going to make a difference in our, not just country, our entire world. And that is the mission, man. So, absolutely. Kelly, lead us into your last song, brother.
Again, I was fortunate enough to see a little bit of success in music. And funny thing is, it's weird how the people who broke your heart and let you down start to pop back up into your life when success starts to hit, right? So the thing was naturally, I'm sure maybe some of the people on here can relate, or maybe some of the veterans, can relate, is that, when life knocks you down, you might turn to the bottle or turn to this. So, I was drowning myself in Jim Beam repeatedly. Just like I was drinking probably a handle it every 2 days. And a lot of it had to do with the loss of love and things like that. And, but then, thank God I was able to get myself better and be in a better place. And I think the success of music kind of helped out with that. So I decided to write a song about it. And so it's called Drowning.
This is Kelly Daniels, Drowning.
Slip off that sundress and leave it where it lies. Stay here with me so we're not alone tonight. I know you had a bad day, and baby, so have I can't stand the thought of you leaving like you did last time. You keep leaving this all behind. You took off to Tennessee with that ring, but you left behind one thing. I'm puzzling the pieces of this broke down heart. Am I the one to blame? I'm searching bottoms of bottles in every bar back in our hometown. Oh girl, it's killing me. Can't you see what your memory's done to me? It's got me drowning in a bottle of whiskey. I know it's been a while now since I've seen your face. Am I doing alright? Yeah, I guess I'm doing okay. He gave you all that you wanted, that house in the hills. So why do you keep it running back into my arms still? Running where the heart can't feel. Took off to Tennessee with that ring, but you left behind one thing. I'm puzzling the pieces of this broke down heart. Am I the one to blame? I'm searching bottoms of bottles in every bar back in our hometown. but you left behind one thing. I'm puzzling the pieces of this broken heart. Am I the one to blame? I'm searching bottles and bottles in every bar back in our hometown. Oh girl, it's killing me. Can't you see what your memory's done to me? It's got me drowning in a bottle of whiskey. That you wanted, that house in the hills. So why do you keep on running back into my arms still?
That is Kelly Daniels, Drowning.
By the way, Andrea, thanks for the subscription on my website.
Wow, look at that.
I'm always busy back here. Always busy.
So a lot of content, context, and direction has been discussed and talked about in tonight. Again, not our normal format, which isn't a big deal. I mean, it's our show. We get to do what we want with how we want. And it's we love the relationships we build. But we come to a point in time where it's time to grow. It's time to do something. There needs to be an action. If we're not creating action, there's no sense in doing it. And so tonight we are going to have a discussion right here as we're closing down, and it's called Final Thoughts. What came to your mind during the show, during the conversation, during the pieces, and ultimately it leads into a collaboration and a further discussion and conversation off screen through the next week or so. So, Frank, are you ready to roll with your final thoughts?
Well, absolutely. I'm an author. I always got words.
Spit it.
You know, we talked about a lot of things tonight, and the one that sticks in my head the most is Chaz's organization. You never know that there's people out there working to find the homeless vets and help them. And my God, what a powerful thing to do. It's just, it scares me when I think about the number of people who are less fortunate than I am. And God has blessed me with a life that I would never change, except for maybe my second marriage. But it's just amazing to see how there's people that are willing to step up and help those that are less fortunate. And I'm a fan. I always will be. Love veterans. You couldn't possibly do enough to make up for the things that they've seen and done and encountered. And God bless you.
Yes.
Well, I have to say, you know, I've done a few podcasts, and this one tonight brings me a little bit more hope. And the reason I say that is because it seems that, you know, a lot of people, they do a lot of lip service. You know what I mean? And, you know, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it doesn't come to fruition because it was just for a show. You know what I mean? And again, you know, seeing the different people, talking to different people on here, you know, even seeing people in the comments, like if that person calls me tonight, I want to help that person. You know, I'm homeless. As soon as I see that, I wanted to end it right. Call me right now. I would have walked off and done it right then now. But, you know, to me, I think if everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're part of a nonprofit, what you do in life, I don't care. If everybody just did help one person tomorrow, you can make that person's life so much better. And again, live by the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. I live by that. That is something I say before I go to sleep, and it's before my eyes even open up. My brain already says it to me. It's how I live my life, especially after everything I've been through. I mean, we didn't even get into the fact that I almost became a 22 twice. That could be another day. We could talk on that. But just everybody tomorrow, even if it means, and you don't have to do something tangible. You can hold a door open for somebody, or somebody drops their bag, pick it up for them. That you don't know. Maybe that person can't bend over, and you might have just helped them, not strain their back. It sounds silly, but it's true. You just help one person tomorrow, and maybe that person will help somebody, and it'll go on and go on and go on.
When you say it that way, Chaz, it is so simple.
Yeah,
it is so simple. Too easy.
Yeah,
Mr. Daniels.
Oh man, so final thoughts. Wow. Well, I'll say this. I think within the past year of my life, like I said, I was going down a bad path. I'm thankful that I was able to find God, and that's what got me through it 100%. I didn't go seek any help or didn't do anything. I just really, really explored, my relationship with the Lord. And part of that had to do with the fact that I was married into a family that was very, you have to live like this, you have to do this. And they were a part of these big churches. And I realized that a lot of people in those big churches were just terrible people morally. And I said, so I went on a journey one day. I disappeared for 6 days by myself. And, I really wanted to explore, my faith and everything like that. And, then I met my wife, Chaz, and for all you guys, my wife works in addiction medication. That's what she does. So she does, she's a practitioner. She sees patients virtually. She does their psychological evaluations. And then she determines what the next steps are as far as getting them help, whether they have to go inpatient or they can be outpatient, things like that. So when people see my bus driving down the road, it's not just me on there or my band partying. We have a whole office set up in the back of that bus where she is seeing patients nonstop, even on
that is awesome.
Sundays, everything. I just feel that I have a bracelet on that says, "Greater is He who lives in me." And it never leaves my wrist. And I just think that over the past year, between my wife and just us together here on this call, things have been happening lately in my life. And the fact that you're on this call and I'm actively, again, I'm not a part of any organization. I'm not a veteran myself, but I just love people, man. And I want to make a difference. And so the fact that I have a homeless veteran living with me and I'm taking care of him and clothing him and giving him hope and this, that, and the other. And he is so happy. He's so, and I know you said you don't like to, you don't like the clout. You don't want to be the voice of your organization, but don't discount people like Tony Robbins, man. You are the voice, dude. You are the one that was homeless and lived it. And now look at all the great things you're doing. So it is possible. And people need to hear that story. That needs to be your brand. People need to hear that story to be inspired to say, hey, it can be done. So I don't know. I really feel that God brought us all together here tonight, and the correlation between the People's Patriot Project and you, Chaz, and I heard Frank talking about, me and him are both from Chicago, the South Side, and him talking about God and his faith and everything. This is just there's something bigger going on. And I saw one of the guys comment on there, and he says, it takes action, and that's it. Every day I try to walk the earth as the Lord did. I don't care exactly. Action, not words, means more. And I can say that personally for me, I'm out there every day living it. I don't talk. I go out there, I do it. If it's a homeless veteran, if it's this, it's that. They don't even have to be a veteran. If I see somebody struggling, I'm gonna try to help them. I mean, that's just it. I love people. I want to see the world be a better place. And any action that I can do and put forward. But I'm really happy to have met you guys. I would love to learn more about your organizations, and I'm even willing to donate to your organization, Chaz, and see if there's anything I can do to help. And as far as your dreams for RVs and buses, just so you know, every tour bus that I've had was the one I have now currently is a 1987. It belonged to Kenny Rogers, but the inside of it looks like the house I'm in right now. So every bus that I've had, I've built out with my bare hands. So I've done all the electric, all the plumbing, all the carpentry, everything. So even if you guys find a rundown bus and it needs to be remodeled, we can figure out a way to get that thing
That'd be awesome.
Dressed up.
I gotta say one thing. I love your bracelet, but I my bracelet that I wear every day, it's a joke, but it's not. It's actually my medical alert bracelet. I got it specifically for the VA because it says "Just throw me in the trash." Because I'm at the VA three to four times a week. I have multiple injuries. I'm actually at the point now where I'm probably gonna have to get off two wheels of a motorcycle. I'm probably gonna have to go to a trike. And when I do these outreaches, I'm pretty much at the point now where I can't actually physically go walking. I have to have the volunteers go out and do it. And I'm going to be having to sit at the trailer, which kills me, but it is what it is. You know, the team will still be out there, the volunteers, you know, it's not about me just going into the woods. It's the volunteers. So,
well, I can tell you're very articulate. Your brain is still working very well. You speak very well. You speak with confidence. And I think your story needs to be told. And although maybe you don't want to be the face, you don't want the clout, you need to be, people need to hear that story to say, hey, doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair, man, you're running a freaking organization, you're helping other people, the People's Patriot Project, you know, all this stuff, like it's all good things. And it doesn't matter how hard life knocks you down. It doesn't matter how hard you get hit. It matters how hard you hit back.
Miss Eichmann.
Yeah. Yep. That's after all that, brain is spinning. But Chaz, no, one thing too for you, you have set the foundation, and you've set a great foundation with your organization. So your people they'll be well set for you to stand in that command spot, and then they can run out and take care of the work. Because just listening to you it's amazing to hear how much you can get done. Peterson and I work during the day too, and we're like, dang, we could get so much more done if we don't work during the day. But you're another one of those, and you're getting it done as well. And so it's so much appreciated, very much appreciated. And the two of you together, so you pointed this out, Kelly and Chaz, you're seeing it. We don't purposely go say, hey, I think Mark would make a great guest with Frank. Let's put the two of them together on a show and see if something happens. We have left it to Providence, fate, and God's touch, whatever you want to believe is out there. But it is definitely having faith for us and believing that these things will work out. And it's not every week. Not every week is there like a nice connection, but today has been one of those definite connections. And you are two people that we definitely want to see in our world, and we definitely will be following to see how things shake out. And Chaz, I did start the people that we know that deal with RVs they're already looking into things. So we're going to hope that something fruitful happens very soon with that. And
that'd be awesome.
Yes, it would be coming from Texas, so somehow it could probably, get.
If I have to personally on my own dime fly to Texas to drive it back, I would do it. It wouldn't matter. Or we could find people who could drive it part way, whatever. I can't, due to my physical limitations, I can't drive more than 4 hours at a clip.
Well, we can send Jeffro down there. He'd be happy to do it.
There you go.
And I'll go to Texas in a moment. Anytime I can get a day off too, not a problem. So yeah. And you might know people closer up here. That's the cool part is every once in a while we get a call and he's like, I have an RV in Michigan. What do you guys do? What do you need? So we'll keep an eye out on that. And thank you so much, you two, for being the openness from both of you is why you're here. You're amazing people inside and out. Your stories, just last week, our guest was saying, it can't be fruitful if it's not a struggle. And so you guys have both lived that. I mean, and it's fruitful for you now. It can only keep getting better. So Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. I don't know. I really don't have anything else to say. Thanks.
It just, we never know what a show is going to turn into. And yes, sometimes we have a question. Will this fit? Will this all come together? Will there be enlightened conversation? We're on episode 269. And we have not had a flop yet. And it's because real people coming together to have real conversations based on action. Because we can't build this and grow this if we don't have the organizations doing the work. We started the People's Patriot Project, and we never wanted to do a podcast. That was not in our mission. And one of the things we were finding when people were calling for support is roughly 90% of them literally just wanted to know someone else was on the other side of the phone, because they've already called, they've already emailed, they've already done all the things, websites, and they're not finding the answers. Ladies and gentlemen, our men and women are not broken, and we're not here to fix them. We're here to offer some support, some needed support. Sometimes that support is a pull. Sometimes that support is a push. But at the end of the day, I'm having a conversation with a guy in Rhode Island right now. Weird, stay focused, Mark. Yeah, well, the mission never ends, and there's no finish line. When we tell you we are trying to make a goal, then that just means we have something more to do after we attain that goal. We have been absolutely blessed. And again, the part that I heard tonight was, don't take offense to this, we had two individuals that had literally pretty much failed and were in darkness at the worst possible times of their lives, and that there was no real direction, but they chose, they made a decision. All of us have made it through 100% of our worst days. All of us. If you're hearing this message, some people do not make it. And it's because we have muddied the waters. It's because we haven't shown a path. We did have some conversation about the recognition. There does need to be a beacon out there. People do need ships, use beacons. Cars use beacons. You have to find your way. The People's Patriot Project is the beacon. FSB Initiative Incorporated is the beacon. Kelly Daniels with his music is the beacon. Frank the Myth with his stories and his books are the beacon. And we're going to put this all together, and we're going to be not the tip of the spear. We're going to be the whole damn spear, man. And we're going to go and we're going to find those that need the help and support. Amazing show tonight. Thank you, everyone that was here. Tomorrow at 4:30, we come back together as the People's Patriot Project, and we do our weekly debrief where we talk about what specifically. Tonight's show was about Chaz and his mission and Kelly Daniels and his mission. That's what the show was about. Tomorrow, we'll tell you what the People's Patriot Project is doing, where we're going, how we're going to do it, and how you can be part of it. Be part of it, not a part away from it, part of it.
Hey, Mark, I
yes,
got a question.
Yeah.
Did you say earlier in the show that Frank is coming aboard as like a full-time kind of, you said that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a stupid joke. You and Andrea both have little tags or nicknames. I think you should call Frank the man, the myth, the legend.
You're not wrong. He was in.
He keeps asking for the nickname. There you go, Frank.
It's perfect. It'll be up there in a second because I know he's working on it now.
I've never heard that before.
Frank the Myth, legend. His nickname will just be at the end. So tomorrow 4:30, VP3 will be back to share what we're doing. Next Sunday, we got amazing people coming back. We got the amazing Tom Nitty, a wonderful musician in the country world, and we got the CEO, he might be the founder, Michael Sullivan of Red, White, and Blue, Team Red, White, and Blue, trying to get you out to be physical, do your thing, and make things happen. Again, an absolute evening of blessings. If you guys have time to hang post-show, great. If you got to go, you've given us more than we committed or said that you had to be here. We appreciate everyone. Thank you, WP3 team, for all the great work you do. Thank you for all the viewers who have come in here and made us number one. It's because of you guys. You made us number one. Thank you. And thank you for our amazing guests. We're excited to watch this grow.
Thanks for having me.
Check your 6. Patriot Pride.